All right, you guys, you know that I have been carrying a VP9 for about 3 years now, I think, and love it. Have no problems with it. I have two of them, and one of them's got an RMR mounted on it. That's my everyday carry gun. But just got something in the mail here that might be interesting to us. Thought that I would unbox it with you a little bit, and then let's go take it to the range. If we look here, what do you see? It is a P30sk with the Lite LEM trigger in it. New Teutonic Space Magic. Want to be a better defensive shooter in 2018? Join the ASP Dry Fire Challenge by joining our Facebook group and by subscribing to the Active Self-Protection Extra channel for weekly lessons on getting better with your defensive firearm. And there she is in all of her glory. So what you see here is, they import these from Germany. This is the P30sk, the subcompact model, has the flush mount magazine in it, also the extended mount in it. Both of these 10 rounders, though they do now make a 13 and a 15. Okay, so here it is. Anybody who's familiar with the HK line is familiar with this gun. Normally they come in a double action, single action. I asked for the LEM trigger for a reason. Now, as it sits right now, you can see here, I really like the extension for the third finger because if you know me, man, when you lose that pinky finger off the gun, you lose a lot, but you lose a lot of grip strength. So having that second one on there is quite a big deal. Now, if you live in a capacity limited state, 10 rounds, no biggie, but they also make the 13 rounder now, and you can see here, if I swap these out, that it really doesn't add a whole lot to the gun at all in terms of overall length. Gives you that same grip, so you've got all of that on there. Now you have 13 plus 1, and that's a big upgrade in my opinion. So normally, the P30 is a hammer-fired gun, always. You can see the hammer in it right there, but normally is a double action, single action, a traditional double action gun with a decocker, usually on the back. You can get it mounted with a frame mounted safety as well. But so this one isn't. This is instead the LEM trigger. And what does the LEM trigger do? Well, there's actually two springs in here. There is a hammer spring and a trigger spring. So what you see here, and I'm gonna show it to you by just coming up real close and see, is that this is a really light trigger pull until you get to the wall. Now, once you get to the wall, so you get right to it, now it gets just a little bit of movement, a little bit over there, and then you're gonna get a drop and almost no over travel. Now, what you would get from that when you reset the trigger here, I'm trying to get that to go down again, is I love the Lite LEM because you see this, the hammer's still back. Now as I release the new Lite LEM, it's short reset. So it only has to reset to there, and then I come back and pull that. It's very reminiscent of a striker fired trigger. Now some of you know and some of you don't that I am officially now a brand ambassador for HK, and so they sent me a couple of guns. This is one as well. It's going to end up being the carry gun, I think, of my wife. And, so I want to disclose that because in the interest of fairness, you can go, well, listen, man, if you're a brand ambassador, you're not going to be super objective in your analysis. I hear that. However, I have objectivity. I still have the right and all that we've talked to them to try other guns to see what they're doing. And they sent me one of these because at SHOT Show this year, I really wanted to feel that LEM trigger and get some time on it. So what we have here is again, I think what might be the holy grail of the combination of the features and the benefits of a striker-fired gun and the features and benefits of a hammer-fired gun without the negatives in either. So this is my carry gun, an HK VP9, full size, and it's a striker-fired gun. Really, the advantages of a striker-fired gun is you get the same trigger every time, right? So if I've cleared that gun, and every time I pull the trigger, every time I'm gonna do something, click, gun does its thing, same click, gun does its thing, same click, little easier to learn for most people. The other advantage here is you have internal safety. So the gun's not gonna go off unless the trigger is pulled. So that lessens the need for external safeties when we're talking about the only time the gun is gonna go off is if I intentionally pull the trigger. Now the benefits of a traditionally hammer-fired gun, traditional double action gun, is that number one, the longer, heavier hammer pull does tend to work like an external safety because it takes a very deliberate trigger press in order to get the first shot to go off. And then after that, you have that light, crisp, single action trigger pull like you would get in a 1911 style gun or a single action only hammer fire gun, regardless of what style it is. And therefore you get very good accuracy because you have minimum over travel and you don't have to worry about all the internals that you do with a striker fired gun. The other benefit of a hammer fired gun is you can reholster thumb over the hammer. If you're in a single action only, then you'd hold the hammer back. In double action, you'd actually put your thumb over to hold the hammer, so then that way, if something messes with the trigger, it's hard for you to see right now, but you can see that that moves the hammer, and if I have my thumb over it, I can feel that with my thumb and figure out what's going on. So those are the benefits, really, of each one. Now, the LEM kind of does both. It's kind of interesting, because one of the cool parts is that you notice there's no external safety on this gun, but when I load around in the chamber, I have to move the slide to do that. I got to cycle the slide, and therefore I get this nice light, striker fired like action. Now it's a little long, but that doesn't bother me much. I get my finger on the trigger and press straight to the rear. Now if I'm running fast, I don't even really think about it. I just drive it out there, get a click, and go. Now it'll reload a new round in the chamber. I get back to that single action as well. If I need a precision shot though, I can load up, find the wall real quick, and get a really good precision shot. So it runs very much when in a regular basis like a striker fired gun. One of the other advantages of a traditional double action gun, a hammer fired gun, is that it can, you get a second strike capability. And with the LEM trigger, you also get a second strike capability. If the hammer falls and you get a click instead of a bang, you can pull the trigger again and get another shot. So I can see the hammer going back and doing that. Now I'm gonna say it's a much heavier trigger press because now it's much more like a traditional double action trigger press. So you get the other advantage as well, which is second strike capability. I'm gonna be real with you, I don't really like this double action pull. It's really heavy. So you get the single consistent trigger pull that you like out of a striker fired gun. You get the thumb over holstering safety of a traditional double action gun. You get second strike capability that you'd get out of there. And one of the problems with the LEM trigger in the past is that people have felt like it's really long, right? So that if I'm gonna run the gun and it's in, it's cock mode, then I go bang, and then for the older style ones, it would have to come all the way out here to the reset, so it's hard to run fast. But watch the new one, the Lite LEM. I get a click. Now if I reset, I wouldn't pin the trigger, we don't do that, but I'm just showing you here as I bring out, that's as far as it needs to come. Real short reset, very much like a good striker fired trigger. So I get a nice short crisp reset, and I get the advantages then of a striker fired trigger with the safety advantages of a hammer. But of course, proof's in the pudding. I haven't shot this gun yet, so let's get out to the range, put some shots through it, see what it does. So here we go, we're at the range. Let's take a few shots, and again, just get familiar. I just want to get familiar. I'm gonna start with the 13 rounder. And some people are like, wait a minute, I can't get those. You can now, but haha, I'm gonna laugh and shill, in industry shill. Okay, here we go. We haven't shot this gun yet before. Let's just get a feel for this trigger, kind of see how it feels. Yeah, I mean, I really like that it does what I want it to do, and feels like a single action trigger, right? So if I'm here, yeah, I mean, it's pretty fast if you think about it. I'm able to see the sights. I mean, they're just standard sights, right? Gosh, I have a hard time arguing here. Yeah, I threw that one. Gosh, that was a terrible shot. I mean, gracious. Let's kind of slow down a little bit and get a feel for it, though. All right, this is one of the included 10 rounders with the extended mag on it. All right, let's get a little mechanical accuracy. We're only at 5 yards. Let's just get a feel for what the gun's gonna do. Can I shoot a precision shot? Well, guess what? The gun did what I asked it to do. If we go look, that's there. Let's shoot a couple more. Yeah. Okay, so interesting. Let's go take a look. It's at 5 yards offhand. 1 inch circle. Seems to do okay. That's me. What are you gonna do? These two I'm just shooting a little too fast just for a new gun. I mean, I will say it's a subcompact gun, right? So it's got a good bit of recoil, but it's a subcompact. It's gonna happen. Man, so far so good. I really do like the LEM trigger so far. Let's slow down and we can kind of feel it just a little bit. Let's head on back to the line. So again, a subcompact gun, right? So really we're thinking about the trigger right now and seeing kind of what it does and how it delivers to us. So you can see I got that pressed all the way back. I've got plenty of distance to get to it, but it's got to come all the way back here. Now I'm going to do what I said I wasn't going to do because I hate pinning the trigger, but I pinned the trigger so you could hear it. So I'm going to bring him up here so you can kind of get a feel. Can you see the trigger there? So if I've got that, where's the reset? Right there. And then back to me. So you can see it is a short reset, a really short reset. Let's see if I can get 2 fairly quick shots again and out of a short barrel. See what I can get here for 2. Yeah, both of those in there. Just locked it to the rear. Not into dropping mags on the ground today because I don't want to clean them afterwards. If I put it there. 15 round extension. So this is the same size grip now as a full-size gun. So, the one that people have been talking about a bunch is something like a G19X that is a 19 length with a 17 frame. Popular with a lot of people. Feels backwards to me, but this would be a great spare magazine if you want to carry a spare. Just gonna work on a double tap again in just a little bit. Not a double tap to get 2 good shots. So shoot, get a good sight picture, shoot, get a third sight picture, and then kind of just see. I'm just feeling how this trigger kind of functions here. So just get. To me, it feels like a striker trigger. It really doesn't feel any different at all. If I have to shoot somebody, I'm not seeing any difference at all in that. I'm getting good sight picture, good sight alignment. I'm not feeling any difference from a striker trigger, but now, so again, one of the advantages, right? So when it's time to reholster, I've done everything that I need to do, but I still got a live gun. This gun's not empty. If I'm gonna go back into the holster, yeah, I'm gonna look and all that, but now I can thumb over to kind of get a little extra safety that I know there's nothing there that I have to worry about. So it's just another layer of safety. Let's come back up and look. Granted, so those 2 were from the first shot at set of 10. The rest of these are in this 6-inch circle for the most part, one down a little bit low. But I'm not aiming for perfect accuracy. You see the gun is doing what it's supposed to do on those 5 shots, but here we are, 25 shots in. My first impression, I dig that trigger. VP9, I just want to feel the difference. I just want to feel, I've just put, 25 rounds or so. My gut says this is going to feel a little less recoily because I have a longer barrel. So, I don't know, we'll just kind of get a feel for what we do here. Hey, guess what? I'm much more comfortable with what I've got several thousand rounds through. And I love my dot. So I've gotten really used to kind of seeing through my dot. So I can shoot that pretty fast. And it does definitely feel like less recoil, but that's a function of a subcompact gun versus a full size. We're not going to give that against them. I should get my full-size P30 with the LEM trigger, hopefully this week, we'll see. But, let's just have some fun. Yeah, that's okay. So if we come on up here, I can show you. One of the things you'll notice is, so this company sent me a bunch of this ammo, and it was doing this to me in Jedi's class too, just keyholing like crazy at 5 yards. I don't understand it, but it's doing it. It's just garbage ammo. But at 5 yards, it's working good enough for us to see the gun function. So just checking, function check, see what we're doing here. So now if we look up at these ones, so you go, oh, the problem is your gun's keyholing. Nope. Nope, that's just regular good stuff. It's just Remington. It's not especially good. So that stuff that they were sending me was just garbage. Happens. Is it okay at this range? Yeah, if I was shooting any kind of precision at any kind of distance, I wouldn't like this because it's not going to be accurate. But you can see, gun's doing what it's supposed to do. So we're gonna test now, this is by feel, right? So maybe we'll do something where we can get a little bit of high speed too. But I have this magazine here that when I put this in, if we were to have hold of it, we know that we've got a full hand grip on it. But if I use the flush mount one, I'm only gonna have 2 fingers. So let's feel the difference in felt recoil. So this gun, as a subcompact, has more felt recoil to begin with. So let's see what we can do on just kind of, getting a feel for how that's gonna be. Because I think a lot of people will carry this gun with the flush mount, without the pinky extension. So let's shoot 10 shots, and then we'll go to the flush mount for 10 shots, and we'll see how those kind of look and feel different. Pretty good. I mean, definitely controllable. I'm not feeling like the gun's all over the place on me, but that was with the extension. So let's put the flush on, see how that feels. There we go, there's flush, most concealable on flush. 10 rounds. Let's see what we got. Now I'm going to tell you, here's what happens, is about 30 to 50% of your grip strength is in your pinky. So I'm losing that right now. I'm going to have to make it up with my support hand. And I'm going to really have to make that up with the support hand. Let's see what we got. So surprising, good technique trumps all, right? And I definitely felt it more in my hand, but gosh, could I feel a real difference in my time back to target? I don't think I could. I think this still shot really well. Now I was using some technique to do that, right? So what I was doing there, if I come over to this side so you can see, so I was wrapping here, and then as I really got here, I was using the pinky here to really kind of clamp down. So I think that did a really pretty good job. So now we're gonna do the 13 rounder. 13 rounder is pretty much identical to the extended, except for instead of kind of scalloping back this way, it sits down, so it's just this much longer right here. You can see it's just that little bit longer than the 10 rounder, so you get 3 rounds for that, and I don't think it's going to change really the concealability of the gun, but it's definitely, because you get that pinky on there, is probably a little easier to shoot. So let's use that good technique again. Well, I guess hey, you know what happens when you load a 13 round mag? It has 13 rounds to shoot in it. Weird. I mean, you can see we're chewing out the center of the thing, so let's do one more with the 15 rounder. So now we've got the full size 15 rounder, makes this as big as the VP9 grip. So this is like full hand. I don't really see a whole lot of difference here. I have fairly big hands, so it's a little bit more back here. This would make a great spare magazine, so why not carry more in the spare when it's only gonna be this much taller? It's not gonna affect your ability to conceal a spare, I don't think. So, kind of get a feel. Come on up. So again, we're only at 5 yards, right? So we're not super far. I'm not saying I'm the craziest marksman on earth, but again, I'm really mostly in the 6-inch circle, and that's what you want to see. I have this tendency to push a little bit low right. You can see I've been working on that, but I would actually say here on the P30, I'm actually doing better than I normally do on my VP9. So yeah, let's get a little high speed of it, and then we'll have a little bit more objective evidence. Over this side. Is that the 223 in particular? Well, so what do we think? Well, one range trip in, we ended up putting 150 rounds through this guy on the first day. Taught a new shooter to shoot with it. After we kind of turned the cameras off, we had some time with a friend, and man, overall, really like this gun. Love that Lite LEM trigger, getting that striker fire break so that it was really easy to find with second strike capability and thumb over holstering. I really like this, man. Feel like the Lite LEM really has something to say. So man, overall first impression is good. I will say, you know, because it's a short gun, right? And so loud because it's short, it's not full length, and a stout felt recoil. You know, I mean, it's a smaller gun, it's a lighter gun, and so, you know, given the cartridge that we're shooting, it's gonna have more felt recoil because it's smaller. But man, I dig it. Honestly, as much as that, I really like the new magazines, right? So that's the 10 rounder right there. So if you live in a legislatively limited state, that's what you get. But for really the same size, I'll put this one away for a sec. But if you look, like there's the 10 and the 13 side by side. So the 10 is here and the 13 is here. And you can see they're the same length, guys. You don't get anything less. Really, all you get, if I put those side by side, you can see here on the back ones just a tiny bit here on the back edge. Front edge is identical, back edge is a little bit, and you get 13 rounds in this one instead of 10. That's a huge deal. Now you can go, if you want, and go to the 15 rounder. Now this makes the grip longer yet, right? So if I put those up to the side here, 13 versus 15, you've got about a ½ inch of extra length out of there for 2 more rounds. This would make a good spare, so if you're gonna carry a spare, this would be the one to carry. I think I'm gonna carry this one in the gun when we get there. So I'm not ready yet to pronounce this gun ready to carry because it doesn't have enough rounds through it yet. You guys know I'm 500 rounds minimum, but we had 0 hiccups of any kind out on the range. I didn't even take the gun apart. I literally locked the slide back. I put a little bit of lube on the rails underneath, ran the slide several times, loaded it up, and we rocked and rolled. And we didn't have any problems, and I'm not anticipating more, but I still want to check. You guys, if you've been around a little while, you know my rule: 400 rounds of full metal jacket, 100 rounds of defensive ammo, and then I'll carry a gun if it has no hiccups at all. And so that's, we're about 1/3 of the way there to the total. So hey, that's really good. Gonna have a couple more range trips before I'm ready to do it, ready to call it good. But man, I'm gonna say this little gun, boy, oh man, I like everything about that trigger. I like the fact that if I'm running fast, when I was running fast, it just ran. You just bang, 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 like nobody's business, just like a striker trigger. But when I really needed to get one, the wall is nice and firm, and then I can get what I need, press right through it. Man, I like this gun. And shameless plug, if you like the new shirts, they're in the merch store. So this one is one of them. You know, the eyes are the windows to the soul, but the hands are the windows to the intent. We got 4 other new ones that are there with different ASP sayings that we're known for. So go check them out. Buy a shirt, support the business, and cover your ASP.